G'day and welcome to part 3 of the CB350 projects, and I think this image speaks enough for itself, so I hope you enjoy. Right, so basically we've got a 350 twin, or a 175 twin. The center two cylinders are working well, the outer two, the 1 and 4, aren't doing much at all. What I did notice when I watched the video back is there was a lot of sparking happening here, a lot of arcing. So what I've done is I've changed out the condenser for the 750's 231, which I know is working well. So because this thing's been meddled with, I don't know if this stator plate's been taken off or moved around or what, but what I can see straight off the bat is we've got an absolutely knackered screw and two semi-decent ones. So I'm bound to have a screw bounty with something that'll fit that. Now when I get that, I'll come back. I'm just going to pop that out for now and see if I can find something that is going to allow me to tighten the thing up, because that ain't going to work. Okay, so I found this. That's one of the advantages of having done a couple of bikes. This one's absolutely knackered. This one has some wear, but with any luck it's going to be alright. So normally with these sorts of things, I'm just going to pop that in there. It's a tiny bit longer, but hopefully it is, well, sorry, hopefully it's alright. Yeah, that's pretty good. Important thing to do with these is use JIS bits. This is a set of impact driver bits, which are JIS, which is Japanese Industrial Standard, and they lock into these screws properly and don't slip. They've got a different pitch on them and all sorts of stuff, and you don't get the problems that you would normally get with a Phillips head on a JIS bit, but that's what happens when you use a Phillips head. Completely knackered. Right, so what we need to do, we've got that sort of on the highest setting of where the points are open, around about there. I'm looking at the gap, it should be between 12 and 16 thousandths. So 12 goes through nicely, 16 shouldn't. It's starting, there's a bit of pitting on them. I might just close them a tiny bit. So I might need to back that off a tiny bit. And, wrong way, mate. What about there? And so, ultimately what we want to do is time this thing, give it a static time, because I don't know if this has been messed with or not. I'm going to call it there. I reckon it's there. Try it again. 12. Yep. And 16, no way. Good. Alright, so what we need to do after I've done that, I just forgot something. I might just run a bit of wet and dry through there, just to give them a bit of a clean. And then after we do this, you want to run a business card through there. That's how you clean the heads in a VCR too. You always use a business card. Give them a nice clean, and then a bit of white card or something, and just run that gauge to there again. Make sure the gauge is clean and we don't leave any oil on there. I've seen it where cars won't run with brand new points because the mechanic that put them in forgot to wipe them on his cup and get all the packing oil off. Right, so then what we need to do now, I'm not going to show you these masks because you know what I'm talking about. In here you got 1 and 4. We've been through this a million times before. And there's 2 and 3, and I'm going to put on the F mark instead of the T mark. Normally we use the T mark looking for top dead center, but this time we're going for the F mark to line up there. I don't know if you can see that, but it's in there. And we've got to hook a continuity meter up to this. They're the wires that come out from the points and go off to the loom in the bike. They actually go to the coils and switch the coils. So 1 and 4 is blue, which is here. 2 and 3 is yellow, which is there. So we'll do this one afterwards, and these ones are adjusted on a separate sub plate, if you know what I mean. So basically what we want to do is put that on continuity, and we can hear it beeping, and we've got to adjust it, turn the plate counterclockwise until it stops. So it's right over that side, which it probably shouldn't be. Let me just button this up a bit. That's right on the cusp of it there. So that if I now just nip those up and I use a spanner it should go up as I turn the crank. I can go back a little bit more, just as it hits the F. Now, I stole this whole concept off Mr. Hackerweek because he wasn't watching, and I watched his video and I thought it was really good. Let's try that. So as the F is coming up, looking in there, as the F approaches, we're going like that, and it comes on right as it hits F. That's probably a 15th out, but it'll do for now. It's the same process with number 2 and 3. So we'll just do the same sort of thing here. We'll just give these a bit of a wipe. If we get that fluffy crap off. 12 and 16 thousandths, which is, that fits in. These ones are in better shape actually. Yep, okay, that's cool. And the same deal, we just go for F, see where it fires, and if we need to, we just take these 2 screws or slacken those off. And we should have something which makes us feel really dandy. Is that 2 and 3? Yep. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to loosen these. And we should have ourselves some fun. And then we can just use a screw stick to get it where we need it. And we'll just button that up a little bit more. So we've static timed it, we have made a difference to it. Yep. And let's just see if that moves. That's pretty much on the money there. I'm going to call that done. Right, well, I've started the thing again, and we've still got 2 out of 4. The, yeah, dead cold, warm, warm, dead cold. So we know everything's working, we know it's firing, we know it's compression. So again, we're looking at fuel issues. It is a bit smoky. That could just be stuck rings though, because it hasn't been used for so long. So I'm going to wind the throttle back and give it a little bit of fuel injection. Just open that right up. Don't squirt it, just go right in. Give it a squirt. We'll go to the other side. Cause damage. What happened? Oh, I knocked the lead off. Hang on. Okay. Not really much better. Lukewarm. Hot. Oh. Hot. That's really hot. 2 and 3 hot. Yeah, more of the same. Right, well, let's take stock of this. The compressions aren't great, but the gauge I'm using is probably worse anyway. But whatever the case, the variation is there. Number 4 is very low. Probably about 80. And number 1 is close to 130, so we've got a problem. Number 2 is a little bit low too, but that was one of the cylinders that's working, but we're getting spitting back through the carby when it's running, so I'm tipping if those valves, particularly what Russ said in terms of the service work being dodgy, or at least not very good, there's a chance those valves were over adjusted, and therefore the valve or the seat's been damaged. So it's leaking down, or at least it's leaking past the inlet. That's also the valve which has the damaged lobe on the camshaft. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to pull it apart, take the exhaust off, take the carburetors off. The carburetors we need to go through, have a look at them. I'm hoping we don't need to spend any money on those. The engine we'll take apart, we'll take the top end off. I need to see the valves, give them a proper... I can do a leak test here, putting compressed air in here and listening at this port and all this crap, but I don't really care for that. I'm just going to take the head off, have a look at the valves. It'll tell me a lot more than what I can diagnose by just mucking around with it more and trying to get it to run better. While the head's off, it's really, really easy just to slip the barrels up and put some rings in. And I'm hoping that'll tell me an awful lot about the engine. Now the bottom, I do not want to split cases. I really don't want to. I've said this before. But that tensioner bolt does worry me as well. So, you know what. So we've had this bike which we're supposed to be able to just rattle can the frame and, you know, get it running and ride it. Well, it's not going to happen because it just isn't. So I think we'll take the engine out and strip the bike down to nothing, which will take about 10 minutes probably. And by the time I'm ready to, I want to get back onto the 750 and finish that off reasonably soon. I need to start cutting this frame and return it to original. And then we can have a look at the engine. I'll pop the engine up on the workbench. They're a little baby engine. They're pretty light and not much fuss. So I think that's the way we'll go. So it's a little bit disappointing. But when I bought this, I went into it knowing that this could well be the case. If you don't hear something run when you buy it, and it did run well a long time ago, which I don't doubt at all, things do foul up over time. And it's basically a lottery. You walk into a place and buy something in this sort of condition, you know, probably won't work, and I'm not delusional about that at all. So it looks like it's turning into another resto, which I didn't really want to do, but I'm kind of happy about it. It doesn't really faze me at all. I think we'll start on this and get it underway. Let's have a look at pluggies. Number 1, a tiny bit of activity. Number 2 is rich, shouldn't look like that after the small amount of running it's been doing. Number 3 is the same, and they run about the same, although it was running hot. Number 4, pretty much nothing's happened. So we can fix that. I'm not too worried about that, but the compressions are uneven. The camshaft's damaged on number 2 inlet, and it's spitting back through the intake port. Even after I backed it off and gave it a little bit more clearance, it's still doing that, so the head has to come off. And it's disappointing because I was hoping it'd run, but this is a lottery, and you can't be unrealistic about this. These guys that pick up 4-stroke engines off rubbish piles and get them going with a 95% success rate is all horseshit. It really is. It doesn't work like that. I think they film everything they get, and the ones that work, they publish. So if you get a bike or a motor of some description that hasn't been running for a long, long time, chances are it's not going to be a carby clean points check. So it doesn't matter. We'll just do what we need to do. So just taking all the cafe stuff off, or at least, so just stripping the bike and I'll take this headlight bucket out. The original earths are there, which is great. And the good thing about these sorts of builds, whether they're finished or not, is they're, aside from the frame part, they're very easy to return to stock if you've got the parts. It's just basically disassembling it and then reassembling it again. These traditionally had a black headlight. I'm going to paint it tank colour, I think. That's in really, really good condition too. Not sure about the lock. I couldn't get that working, but I also don't care much about it. Brake line's perished, so we'll need new brake line for it. It's probably very similar to the 750 type, although the one I've got is a one-piece line. The front brake switch, which is here, front brake light switch, on the 750 is actually part of a lever. So using one of these types of earlier master won't work, and even the aftermarket ones don't have that accommodated switch under there. So I mean, I can put something like that on the 750 and do away with it, but I'm just not sure at the moment. I've got that still soaking in a fuel and oil mix. Two minds with this cafe stuff, whether to hang on to it or not. Some of it's really good quality, and I was actually quite surprised. There's a lot of junk for sale on eBay, but this stuff that the previous owners picked is not bad at all. Those headlight brackets are probably a bit thin, but you know what? They'll probably be fine for somebody. Don't know. Not sure if I want it, not sure if I don't. I'll put it in a big pile. I might just whack it on eBay or something. I don't essentially need anything. Taking the oil filter off in the pan. I've already given it a few kick overs, but just any oil that comes out, we can try and make less mess, if you know what I mean, on the ground. I'll take the pan off as well as the breather top. Someone's polished that, and then we'll just lift the engine out to the side. Oh dear, deja vu, hey? Where are you doing this? But I like this. You know, I like doing this. It doesn't bother me pulling an engine and partially disassembling it. That's fun stuff for me. They don't break these boots. Oh, yeah, I don't know about that. I might heat them up with a heat gun, eh? It might make them just that little bit more pliable, because I don't want to break those. They're hard and really brittle. Hopefully that doesn't light any petrol up, but I just want to warm it up. Maybe turn down a bit. I just want to put a bit of warmth into them. I'm going to take a chance and just do that. See if that helps at all. Yes, it does. They're a lot softer. Oh, I don't want to click back in though. So far so good. The thing is that once I'm hitting the valve cover, here we go, I can feel it coming. There we go. Lovely. Right, so, oh, there goes the message. That's probably Eric, the seller of this thing. He's been such a lovely guy. He's found the inner ear garden stuff. Just trying these out. These look like they've been worked on fairly recently. They're lovely and clean. I reckon we might just take the pan off and start taking the engine out, eh? That's going to be fun. Good fun. You like that? Right, so it's got masking tape around it. Painter's tape. I'm just going to write 1. And we know this is up here. The painter's tape's better quality. It doesn't leave like gum behind. I mean, I suppose they all will over time. But if it looks like I'm going to store them for any length of time, I will take that off and use another way of labelling them. So I'm removing the pan at the moment, but I'm doing it for 3 reasons. 1, it's a very deep pan. It's going to make engine removal far easier. The second reason is because it's going to show me if there's anything in there that shouldn't be there. You know, chunks of clutch or timing chain tensioner or steel, metal, whatever. And the third reason, it's going to give the engine a nice flat bottom to sit on the workbench. So it has to come off. And I'm nearly there. It's a deep pan like a pizza. There's also an oil pickup in there, which is quite deep, obviously. And I need to have a sticky at that, because I've got to remove that. I think we'll just drop it, and if we make a mess, we just make a mess. Hey, come back. Okay. Come on, mate. Let's go. That's a good boy. Well done. Alright, let's have a look. This has been off recently too, because we have what appears to be a reasonably new gasket. Oh, it's clean as a whistle in there. Just let me pull that rag over. Let's take a sticky. Let's have a look, hey? Let's have a look. There's a bit of grunge in there. Just your normal... There's nothing horrible though. It's just sludge basically. Which is what you expect to find. That'll be friction material off your clutch. That sort of thing. So that's cool. I like it. That's really cool. I'll know more when I take that baffle out. But this has been off before. You can see that screw there is rounded off. There's someone used a Phillips head. This is slippery. Oil strainer has got some debris on it. That will be clutch material or probably tensioner. That black rubbery stuff. Still, all good. Right, so it doesn't look too bad under there. You can see the primary chain. I can't, I'm just sort of lying on the side with the camera. The only thing that concerns me is this isn't flat along the rails up where my thumb's pointing, because you've got this sprag hanging down. That's the one-way clutch for the starter motor. So there's a bit of slack in the chain too, I'll give it, but we're just going to have to be very careful when we take the engine out that we don't damage that. So there's not much holding this in. We've got this through bolt down the bottom where your foot pegs go. We've got that going up through there, and the other bracket sort of goes here, and that's not on, but it's still through there. And we've got this front one, which is loose. I don't think this one's got anything on it. No, it doesn't. And can't even see around there. I'll go around the other side and have a look there. But otherwise, this little bloke is ready to withdraw. This stuff's all finger tight. It's really easy. So we're nearly ready to do one big tooth extraction. So if I just pick this up, that should come out, which it does. Cool. That there. Hopefully I can just pick it up and put it on that bit of wood. Although, that bucket's in my way. Cool. Let's just remove the bike and have a look. I don't want to have that sitting on its bottom too much. I'll just put that under there. Beautiful. I love it because it's so light, so small. Right, so before we go any further with that, we've got some tools to put away, some wheels to delace, and we have all this to clean up. So most of this is going to boxes. Fasteners need to be measured and written down what they are, and then this all goes off to be plated. And we just need to find a home for all this stuff, which isn't going to be hard to do, but when you pull something out, you end up with a mess, and you have to clean up before you can continue. Right, let's see what this little bastard has to say for itself. Beautiful. Not even heavy. It's a little baby. Look at it. So let's give this a bit of thought. No, let's just start pulling it apart. I want to see what's inside it. I want to see if there's any nasty surprises, and actually I should start on the outside, shouldn't I? And all this stuff. Just need to see. So I'll just crack all these. Now that one's a different size. It's a piss off though, because I've got to use Imperial Allen keys to get these out because they're 1/4 inch coarse. They're completely the wrong size. But this is alright because it gives me a chance to drill those out and, what do you call it? Recoil them. Don't forget to loosen these off before you remove this, because it's much easier to take them off on the bike, or on the engine, sorry, than it is later on. Got everything up there. Nearly. One more. 2 more. Well, we've seen under here, so it's no big deal. But I do want to get that camshaft, the problem with it, addressed. If you remember, number 2 inlet is damaged. That's all sort of knackered on the edge there. So we need to do that. In the meantime, I'm going to pop this cover off. It's all lubricating beautifully up there. So everything's, a lot of stuff in this is really, really good. It's just not quite running how I want it to. And I don't want to put the bike together and then find out that it has to go apart again. It has to come apart again. So that's the reason I'm doing this. Is it 10? Yeah, 10 mil. 10 millimeter. Everything's just nice and easy. Like it's such a featherweight. Yeah, it's like working a little 4-cylinder, and the 750 was like a big block. Now, it must be frustrating for people watching my channel because all I seem to do is this sort of stuff. I don't seem to finish things, but I do. I'm capable. This is a go-between job. So I can't do anything on the 750 at the moment because we're waiting on bits. And it's too cold and too wet to do the XC. This is perfect. Oh, I didn't put my little rags in there. Right, let's just pull you off. Okay, let me think about this. Hang on a minute. Maybe do I have to undo that char? No, there we go. Right. Oops. Let's just undo that. And put you down there for a moment. And just do that. Good. These have little lubricating bars too. And you pull them up, and this little spray bar. with an O-ring on it, so I've got to change those out. Such a cute little arrangement. Cool. Okie dokie. Right, let's have a look at this camshaft. We'll have a look at that. Let's take that off. Is it obvious which way it goes? Yes, it is. Here's a little baby cam. And what I'm worried about is number 2 inlet. Can you see that? It's been ground, or at least, it's been filed off because it's quite jagged. It feels rough. But this is the one that was spitting back through the carburetor, and there's no reason that should have happened. It's got damage there too. The rest of the camshaft looks well. I'll get a mic and I'll measure it up. But I might give this to crankshaft rebuilders in Blackburn and get them, hopefully, to regrind it. I'm very happy with the condition of the rest of it. It's all good. It's just that one lobe, which is rubbish. And I wouldn't put an engine together with the cam like that. They might have hairlines in it and all sorts of stuff, I don't know. I might get it crack tested in case it was dropped. Because it's damaged on a really unusual spot. You would think it'd be in the centre of the lobe. So, crack tested and rebuilt, I think, for that cam. This thing's been all unzipped quite recently, by the look of the gaskets and stuff. But look at that. They've left the old O-ring on there and ganged another one underneath. And I believe everything Russell said. This one hasn't, it's only got one. He wasn't happy with the work, and it's not just tuning work I think they fudged up. They've probably mucked up a few things. Now, if it's had rings and all that sort of stuff in it, which it looks like it had, or not rings, but gaskets in it, you wouldn't do the base gasket without doing the rings. I mean, I don't know why that's been off. So, this should have some spring tension on it. Given that it's a tensioner. But it might not. Oh, yes it is. Yes it has. That's alright. I really need to have a look. And I'll be a lot more relaxed. If I pull it apart, and it didn't need to be pulled apart, that's good. If I pull it apart and find stuff, which I'm tipping I will, that's not great. I don't want to damage this on the off chance that I can never get another one. Okay. It's got a couple of stress fractures in the material. You can see, if you can see the reflection, there are a couple of stress fractures there. So that's one thing. It'll just come out. Oh, yeah, it goes like that. Let's have a look at this one. It's got wear on it, but it's still serviceable, I reckon. I'll have to have a look at an original one and see what they look like. That gives you that's your tensioner. That's what that horseshoe thing does. It pushes up on that and then into the chain. Cool. Okie dokie. Now let's unbutton the head. Let's get down to business. See what's in here. See what nasty surprises there are. Because I'm assuming there will be one or two. Look how tight the head bolts were. I'm on the wrong angle, actually. Well, that wasn't very tight. Nor was that. What about down here? Pretty rubbish. And this one's got to be tight. No, not particularly. Where to now? Here? What do you think? This one's a bit tighter. There's some in here. I don't think they torque these down very far. Maybe we've got heat gasket problems, eh? What the fuck is that in there? Come here, you little bastard. Oh, here we go, let's pull it that way. These are very, they're not tight at all. Did I do these? Yes, I did. These little central guys here. Yeah, these aren't. Look at that. I mean, I know it's a small engine, but lawnmowers have heads tight on that. These things can be pains. You just sort of circle around the stud and you can pull the thing off. Anyway, I'm going to continue doing this, and I'll switch you back on in a moment. So this timing chain, there's no ledge or anything to sit a screwdriver. So I'm just going to drop it and okay, stuck for the moment. So I'm just going to figure out how I can best get this off without damaging anything. In there again. Can I go in there again? Yes, we can. Alright, let's go for broke. Pull this little guy off. Gotta get these square. There we go. Oh, someone's had the head off, alright. All the pistons look clean. Well, let's have a look. I need to mop up that oil in the chambers. Sorry, in the cam chamber. Mop that up and let's have a look at some pistonians. Oh god, the balls are marked up really, really bad. Oh dear. Let's have more of a look. Right, so let's have a look. This has been recently apart. There's some marks in the bore. They're freshly cleaned pistons. Now, they haven't been taken off and put on a Y wheel. They've been scraped off with something. Looking at the cylinder head, same deal. The chambers are all clean. Number 2 is this number 2? That's number 3. Number 2 is this one. I'll put some plugs in and I'll leak test them. But I think what we'll do is we'll pull all the valves and bits and pieces out. We'll do the old hydro clean and we'll relap them and get them right. So far as that's concerned, I'm taking the barrels off. Only because I'm sussed out with it. Like, I'm a little bit dubious about it. There's large horrible marks. I hope that whole mark there, down in number 2, is that 2? No, that's 3. It's got a horrible big mark that goes up and down like that. It could be cracked, I'm not sure. It doesn't look good though. Can you see that? I'm not sure if you can. I need to get this out and have a good look at it, because there's something amiss with it. We've got the restrictors. We've got to save those. There's one there and there's one stuck to the head. Which these are oil pressure restrictors. Really easy. Hey, come back. Really, really easy to lose. Got to make sure they're clear as a bell. Those things. So yeah, this has been played with. But you know what? It's all good. It's, you know, that's how you learn. If you don't get it right the first time, it doesn't matter. It sort of looks a little bit like it's been cobbled together, but I don't think it's been run for any length of time in the state it's in. It just doesn't look like that. So I think we'll continue and get those barrels off and have a look. Start pulling the cylinders off, and I've seen something I don't like. Let's get down here. And it's this crap. It's silicon. I don't like that stuff. I think on a bottom gasket you would use Permatex, but that's, yeah, I don't like that. It's just an opinion thing. It doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong. It's just something I wouldn't do. Look here, it also looks like it's had silicon on the head gasket too. Yeah, you shouldn't do that. They're supposed to be dry. We'll keep hunting. Looking at this, I think it might have been the first time I was the first one to run it since it's had its work done. I'm just trying to think of a way. I don't want to break anything. Just don't want to break anything, that's all. It's been all bloody glued down. That could break. I went under the engine size boss at the front and hit with a hammer. With a piece of wood just under here. Can you see that? Yeah, just under there. Didn't even budge. I'm just so gun shy of damaging it. But that shouldn't be bloody glued down. I think I found somewhere to get it off. There's a ledge there. I'm wondering if I can go between here and here. I was hitting the wood underneath there and I got gun shy and stopped. So I think if I use my rather large mofo screwdriver, I might be able to get that just in that spot there. And I might be able to pull it up without damaging anything. Let's give it a go, hey? Oh, Jesus. Man, that is stuck. That is really stuck. I can't get it that way, can I? No. Unless I turn it around, turn the engine around, like that. I've got bits crowded everywhere. That is not going to go, guys. And see that? I just did that with the screwdriver. That little... It's too easy to damage. I'm really scared of this. I think a wedge or something driven in there might do it. I don't think I've got anything steel that's wedge shaped that can get in there. Oh, I got it. Right. Look at this. Wow. Oops. You just got to be so careful with these. They damage so easily. They're so soft. And you just don't want to be putting screwdrivers in there. I was going to wiggle it and try and free it. Bastard, get off. Right. Bloody Celestic. I hate this stuff. It looks like somebody has done what I planned to do. That was my shoe, by the way, in case anyone thought it was my arse. It wasn't. It looks like it's been re-ringed. I might be wrong. What's down here? It's nice and clean in there. It's squeaky inside the engine, which is lovely. I don't think anyone's been in there. I think they've just yeah, I think we've just messed around out here. But it's funny how it's been cleaned up. The Susie, my wife's here.
Hi, I got you sweets.
Oh, wonderful. All right, I'll turn this off. Can I drop that down here? Can we compensate? See that big U-shaped scratch? Where is my screwdriver? I can't feel it. Oh, hang on. Let me just adjust the light. There's something very, yeah, I can feel it. That might be up for a bore. We might be boring it. I might pop a piston out and just have a look at the end gap and stuff like that. These are all standard. Right, let's have a look at these. Now, I've been critical, and I don't mean to be too critical, but there's Celestic down here, which we've talked about, and I really don't like that. The other thing I've noticed with this is the center gasket, or the base gasket I should say, was put on the other way around. That tunnel for the timing chain isn't central, it's slightly offset. So when you put the gasket on the wrong way, you'll find that it encroaches on one side by about, I don't know, 4 millimeters or so, and it's right up against the other. So you've got to sort of make sure it's the right way around. Now, one thing in here spooked me, and that was in number, I can't remember what number it was, number 2, was it, or 3? I can't remember. There was a large sort of scrape. I'm having trouble seeing it now. When I feel in here, there's wear, but there's no huge lip. There is wear though. Yeah. I'm on the cusp of wanting to bore it. Now the other thing I've noticed is these have a, I don't know if you can see it where you are, there's a gasket or a sort of an O-ring down here, and this thing's the original Honda one, and I'm just trying not to get my head in the way of where you are, but it is so crispy. I'm going to use this side. Here it is, and you'll see here it's just so brittle. That's an O-ring, rubber O-ring. Now these pistons, they're proper Honda ones by the look of it. I think they're Honda ones, although they're not branded Honda. Maybe they're not. They're not original. They're too clean down here, and they're very, very clean across the bottom edge, although they are dirty underneath the crown. But they're in really good nick, and you know there's a bit of moderate scraping, but it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just where it's been heated up a bit. And the rings, of course, I can't see anything too wrong with those. I wouldn't put old rings back, but I can't see anything that screams out. They've been put the right way around, but there are a few checks we can do. Oh, what piston is this? This is number 4. So that is number 4. Hey, that's number 4 there. So that goes in there, except the other way around. And what we can do is we can check the end gap, and the light's dreadful, so I'm just going to pop that in. You come back here, get in there, you little son of a gun. And just push it square. And that actually looks really, really well spec'd. You can see that end gap there. I'm not sure if you can. I'm hoping you can see that. Now, ideally it's 6 to 14 thousandths. The wear limit's 27,000. So there's quite a lot of grace where it comes to ring end gap. So if I go 6 thousandths. Anyway, let's get those ones. 6, 14, and 27. And have a look and see what we got. Honda measure it from the bottom. Now 6 goes in there nicely. And just looking at these, I'm tipping they are well within spec. What one's this? There's 14. And that's right between 6 and 14, so that's right between absolutely ideal. There's nothing wrong with that. As I said, I think these have been replaced. Now if I pull that out, that sounds a bit scratchy, we can check the ring land clearance, or the clearance between the piston and the side of the ring and the piston groove, if you like. Ideal is 1 to 2 thousandths, maximum of 6 thousandths. So if we get our 6 again, I'm telling you now, that ain't going to fit, because that feels really, really tight. The second ring has a moderately less tolerance for that, and 6 will not go anywhere near that. So essentially that's in pretty good nick. And ultimately we should probably just bang the thing back in. I'm just going to get a 2 and just check it with a 2, because it has to have some clearance. And, you know, it's ultimately, we probably shouldn't even bother boring it. That's brand new spec. There's nothing wrong with it. What about the second ring? It's absolutely perfect. So we can go around and check every ring end gap and everything. Just out of interest's sake, if we go in through the top, which Honda don't do, but most automotive manufacturers do, particularly on cars, this is where the bulk of the wear is, and you can see that has really opened up just in there. And so what does that have to say? I think 25 was the max. And so that's really loose at 25. So that's over. So not ideal, but you can see the difference there between at the bottom, and that's where all that wear is at the top. So, you know, ideally I think we need to bore it. I think we do, because it's going to lose a lot of compression through there. But it's something worthy of consideration, and I think it's probably best to do it properly. Well, that's it for part 3 of the CB350 project. Of course, it's a little bit disappointing with how it's all turned out, with, you know, a few bits and pieces not being placed properly and whatnot. I'm not opposed to reusing parts, particularly if they're in very good condition like this one, but if they don't fit properly, we're not going to cobble it together. I'm not going to do work like that. I'm not interested. So I'd prefer to do it properly, which of course takes longer. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, as they say. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll get the next one out relatively soon. I think in the next one we'll take the clutch cover off. That's got to be polished and cleaned and all this sort of stuff. Take that off. Maybe a stator plate. I want to have a good look at where this tensioner bolt's broken down the bottom, and we'll blow the bike apart. And then the video is going to be a little bit fewer, because we're waiting on funds and services to be done too. On the upside though, the stanchions are here for the 750 forks. So in the near future, we will have a 750 video where we rebuild the forks and put them on the bike. So until then, drive safely, enjoy classic. I'll see you around.